Hey everybody, welcome back to the second episode of The Bass Guru. Today I'm going to be talking about my top 5 wintertime baits. And they're going to be a little bit different. I know I'm probably going to get some people that disagree with me, but this is just what works best for me. And a lot of the times, a lot of fishermen think in the December months to not go fishing, it's going to be a waste of time, it's too cold. But that's not the case. It can be some of the most effective time to go fishing. And where I'm from, in Tennessee, we have a lot of largemouth lakes. And these baits are mainly going to be for largemouth. Smallmouth will eat them too, but it's mainly for largemouth. And this is my first bait of choice. This is a Hoppe's brand jig. This is in black and blue, which I know some people think you're going to be needing to go more natural colors for the wintertime, but this will work just as well. And it has a Ugly Otter Gambler trailer on there as well. This is good mainly for fishing deep water in any situation, whether it's rocks, timber, anything. A lot of the times in winter, people will find shell beds too, and they'll drag this across shell beds. So that's bait number 1 of choice. Bait number 2 is a DT22. And this DT22 is great because if the fish are suspended off the bottom a little bit and I'm fishing 30 foot of water, this 22 will rattle enough and get up in their face enough to catch them. But also, if they're tight at the bottom and I want to dredge the bottom and say I'm fishing 18 foot of water, I'll pick out this DT22 because it goes a little bit deeper and I'll be able to dredge the bottom and create a reaction strike. And the reason I want a reaction strike in the winter is because fish are not going to be as prone to being active as they would be in the spring, fall, and summer months. It's going to have something to get their attention, and dredging a crankbait across the bottom is a perfect example of that. Number 3 is a craw-colored 2-tap Strike King whipless crankbait. And the reason I like the 2-tap version is because, once again, it's a little bit more distinct than normal whiplasses. It has, if you can't hear that, 2 tungsten weights in it, which creates a deeper sound rather than your typical whipless crankbait, which is more of a bunch of beads in there. And you can, a lot of the times in the winter, you'll find grass in about 20 foot of water, and you're going to want to let this sink in the grass, and you're going to want to stroke it back up real fast. And a lot of the times, that quick jar will create a reaction strike as well. And bait number 4 is a jerk bait. This is a Rapala jerk bait. It's the Shadow Rap. This is great because I can fish it in about 10 to 11 foot of water and just let it sit there and act like a cold, wounded, dying shad. And a lot of the times fish will see that as an easy meal and take advantage of it. So that's bait number 4 of choice. Bait number 5 is a mini Alabama rig. And the reason I choose a mini Alabama rig, which this one's made by Live Target, is mainly because in the wintertime, you know, a big Alabama rig has a bunch of the wire on it, and fish you don't want the fish to notice none of that. And in the winter, they're going to be a lot more susceptible to noticing that. And see, this has less wire, it's compact compared to normal A-rigs, and you'll probably get a lot more strikes on it, as this only has 1 hook, 3 small ones, and a blade. And this is number 5. So that's it for all my baits, but now I'm going to tell you a little bit how to fish them. The whipless, you're going to want to, you can fish this in any depth, really. You can fish this in 5 foot, you can fish this in 50 foot, any depth. But where you're going to find most of your strikes at in the wintertime is either on rock, because this is a crawfish pattern. And a lot of crawfish relate to rocks as their heat. They crawl in the rocks. And when they crawl out of the rocks, if there's bass nearby, they're going to hit it. They're going to eat it. And this mimics a crawfish. So that's why I chose this as one of my favorites. And this is the jerk bait. And like I said before, you can fish this really any way. You can jerk it, you can rip it real fast. But a lot of the times, the winter, the way I want to fish it is I just want to let it suspend and let it sit there and give it a few jerks and shake it here and there. And the main reason is because when the colder water hits, a lot of the shad die. And fish see this is an easy meal when it's just sitting there, and they'll tear it up. So that's another one. And this is another one. The DT22, like I said, you can dredge this across the bottom, which is an effective way, but you might get hung up a lot. And that's when you want to relate back to the lipless, because you can control the depth of it. But there's certain times when they'll hit this and not that lipless, which is very good to know and very good to think about. So that's another one. And this one is another one you can control at any depth. But I like to get this down deep. This is a 3/8 ounce, and I like to really get it down deep. And the reason I say that is because the bait, which is mimicking, is going to be in the warmest water possible, which is deep. And so you're going to want to just let this sink down there and slow roll it off the bottom, just enough to get the boot tail and the blade just churning enough to hope that the bass see it. And that's another easy meal for them, because it's in a school and they think they can get 2 or 3 at a time when they go to strike. Another one's a jig, and this is for when fishing is really slow. This is for when you want to break it down and, almost dead stick it out there and just let the jig sit out there and barely jig it or barely stroke the jig. And this is another good way, because this imitates a creature that can imitate a craw, depending on what color the craw are in your lake at that time of year. This can imitate a lot of things. And say if it's really slow and you're not getting a bite on this, change colors a little bit. Never be afraid to change colors to, say, a natural or a green pumpkin, because a lot of the times they're finicky in the winter and they'll hit a green pumpkin and not this, or they'll hit this and not a green pumpkin. So just remember to stay on the fish. You have to give what the fish want. And if you don't have what they want, they're more than likely not going to bite. So that's it for the second episode. I'll make another one soon. Bye.